Welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about working with the strings. So we learn how to work with the strings, and so we are going to be taking a look at a couple of useful string methods because we work with strings all the time in JavaScript. So let's get started. In this part, we are going to leave the restaurant theme behind and work with the stuff related to airplanes and airlines. So let's now start by creating an airline variable here. So let's write our variable here, constant airline equals to, so here we are setting it to top air Portugal, and also here one more variable, here we'll say aeroplane constant plane equals to, here we'll set this to A320. Okay, just like in arrays we can do now is to get the character of a string at accurate positions. Okay, let's try that out. For example, let me just say here console.log. Here let me just say plane of 0 I'm saying here. So when I log the console, as you can see here, we are getting the A from this plane here A. So let me just show you similarly. So as you can see here, A320. So from this here string, it is printing out these values. 0 is A. For example, these 1 and 2 here you see, right? These both were here not numbers, they are string here. So these both are string, right? If you wanted a number, then we have to convert them and do the same directly on a string. So let me just show you how it is done. So here console log. Let me just say here, for example, here Boeing 737 plane. So here of 0. So here you see right B right now, like this way you can just, so let me just show here one more thing. As you can see here it is 7. So this way also we can just directly call this from the single line instead of writing this way. Okay. And we can also read the length property of the string just like an array. So for that, as you can see here, we are getting the 17, right? So this airline from this top to Portugal L. So this is the string length. So we are getting the string length here 17. So this way here we get the length of the string. It includes the spaces as well. We can do on strings as well, right? So let me just show you. Let me copy this here. So we'll remove this. Now you can see here this 737 length, here it is 4. So here we have 4 letters, right? Next up, let's talk about methods. So again, comparing strings to arrays here. Strings also have methods and some of them are quite similar to array methods. So one of them here is the index of. So when we talked about an array, so this is the one we are working with the same way, and we get this position in a certain letter is the string. So let's use here the R. Let me just show you here what I'm trying to say. Console.log airline index of, here we'll say R. So here we got the output 6, right? So in our string, so it searches for the R, for whichever the R first comes, so it returns till their value. So till this R value, our string contains 6. So here it gives us the 6. You see that strings are also 0 based. This is here we'll give the first occurrence, but sometimes we need the last one as well, right? So then we can say, let me just copy this. So in our airline, we have here one more R, right? So what if we want this R, not the first one? So then, so here we'll say last index of, okay? As you can see, when we click the last index of, so here it is showing till this here, okay? till port PO port is reading the string, so we get the value 10. And also we can search for the entire word. So let me just say here how to do that. Console.log airline dot index of. Here we'll say Portugal. So for this string, it is containing 8, it is getting right. So what if we give here small p instead of capital P? See, it gives -1 because strings here, this is the case sensitive, so you have to declare carefully. So exactly, if you give any uppercasing wrong, so it will give -1, so be careful with that. So now what we can actually do with these indexes, why are they useful? Well, one good use case is to extract the part of string using the slice method, and a slice method needs indexes as arguments, and so therefore it can be very useful to first figure out the indexes of string and then to extract that. Let's see how the slice method works. So let me just write here slice. So here we'll write console.log airline dot slice of 4, and this 4, it is the begin parameter. Remember, it is a 0 based, right? So this 4 0 1 2 3 4, here a is in 4, right? So this is the begin parameter, it is 0 based, and where the slice method starts to extract. So here we got the output. So this here is the substring, because it is a part of a original string and it doesn't change the underlying string, because it is impossible to mutate strings, they are primitive. So if we wanted to use the string now, we would have to store it first into some variable or some data structure. Okay, this method here and all the other ones that we are going to talk about always returns a new string. Okay, that's why we are going to log the result to the console here. Now, besides this begin parameter that we already specified, we can also specify an end parameter. So let me just show you that. So here console.log, so airline.slice 4,7. This means it is the end value, so it's not actually included in the string. Basically, it stops extracting before reaching index number 7. So just as a side note, the length of the extracted string is always going to be the end minus beginning. So the 7 minus 4 is 3. So the length of here the 8, okay. Up until this point, we have just hard coded these values, but of course, many times we do not even know the string that we receive yet. So let's now try to extract the just the first word of the string here, but without knowing any of the indexes. So that's where this index of and the last index of here becomes really important. So basically that we don't have to hard code these values here. So let's try to extract the first word. So here we write console.log airline dot slice of here 0, and then here airline dot index of, and here in brackets we use the empty space. So when I save it, so if you want our first word, we have to use by starting with 0, but when it comes to end parameter, we have to extract up until this space actually, and then airline dot index of this space here which we used, and this will be the first occurrence here the top. And now let's do this the opposite. So extracting the last word. So console.log dot slice of airline dot last index of. So when we specify like this, as you can see here, we are getting the Portugal, but here front space is getting added, right? So to remove the space here, we need to do is +1. So as you can see here, the space was removed and here it returns our last value Portugal. So this is how we write that, and that's the fundamental of slice, but we can do more with it. We can define the negative begin argument as well. So let me just show you that here. So console.log airline dot slice of -2. As you can see here, AL from the Portugal, from the last it is getting the value. This is -1 and -2. So here we are getting the AL. So that's how we can declare as well. And we can also do like this in this way. So let me just write that console.log airline.slice 1 of -1. See, here we got our output like this. So we can write in this way as well. So it starts with the index 1 and ends with the -1. So we got this output. So we'll need all of these different combinations here in different situations. If so, it's good that you know how to use them because you need them at some point. Okay. Now let's practice a little bit what we learned and write a function that receives an aeroplane seat and logs to the console whether it is a middle seat or not. So we'll write that here. So we'll say constant check middle seat. Here we'll say function of seat. So it is a function which takes in a seat. Let me start by calling the function. So to check the middle seat, and so typically the aeroplane seat looks like this, and we have the rows as a number here, and then the seat itself, that's like the columns to say. So it's then a letter, for example B. So it starts from the left and goes all the way to right. So in a small planes like A320 or Boeing 737, here we have 6 seats in one row, and that means that B and E are the middle seats. Let me just write that here. So, and that's not the point here, of course. So basically we want to do is to check if the string that we received contains a B or an E. So if so, then it's a middle seat. So, and then let's call this with a couple of different strings. So here we'll write check if middle seat is 11B, and here we'll say check if middle seat here 23C, and here we'll say check if middle seat 25E. So that's how we extract the parts of the string. So right now we'll go to our function and we'll write our function here. So here we'll declare the constant s equals to seat dot slice of -1, because here we want only the last element to be checked, right? So we want to check the seat is B or E, right? So we want a last element, so which is -1. Okay, so we are storing that in the S, and here in this constraint we will check if S equals to B, S equals to E, then console.log you get one middle seat. Okay, else console.log you are lucky. See now for these three scenarios here, you are for 11B it is coming here, you are in the middle seat, and 23C you are lucky, and 25E here you are getting your the middle seat. So that works exactly fine. So that's how we extract the parts of string, and you can come up with your own examples as well. Okay, and now before we move on here, let's just stop for a second and understand why all of this works, and so that the strings are a primitive, and why do we have the methods. Shouldn't methods only be available on objects such as arrays? And Well, that is true. However, JavaScript is really smart, and so here this works whenever we call a method on string, because it basically takes out the string and puts it into a box which is the object. So basically what happens in this is, so let me just show you console.log. Here when we say here new string, as you can see here it is given here. So you will see that the string here looks a bit more like an object, and we could take a look at this here. And so you see here all of these methods like slice that we just used, but this is beyond the scope of this lecture. We'll learn about that a little bit later. But what matters is that indeed is now an object. Okay. So let me write that as well here. So let me just copy this. So when I run, as you can see here, it is an object, it is declaring. Okay. So this conversion here is what JavaScript does behind the scenes. Whenever we call a method on a string and then the operation is done, the object is converted back to regular string primitive. Okay. In fact, all strings method returns primitive even if we call on a string object. So let me demonstrate you that as well. So here we write that console.log type of new string here, and then lowith dot slice of 1, this line 74. So this code here, see, when we write our code and when we save it, here we are getting the object. So this is here the string, and this might looks confusing, but it is just a theory explanation behind why all of this works. But now let's move on to the next, where we will continue working with the strings. Okay, that's it for this video.